some will do then major, some do major, and Deputy Chief.
Go ahead and get started. I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for September 12th, 2023. First, we have approval of the agenda. My understanding is we do not have a closed session today. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Please join us for a moment of silence. And Councilmember Hampton, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Is there anyone signed up on the sheet to make public comment?
Yes. Michael.
Yeah. One. Mr. Mike Smith? It was a guess.
How could I possibly be here and not have a comment? One of these days
Good
I will
evening.
actually come just to watch without any comments. But tonight I have a few different comments on different topics.
Okay. Our city clerk will be our timekeeper, so state your name and address. Yeah. Okay.
Mike Smith, 102 Colfax. I've got comments on a few different topics tonight. Regarding the driveway discussion from the previous council meeting, I was a little bit disappointed that it sounded like a lot of good ideas were proposed, but little consideration was given to most of them. And as a result, from what I could hear, it sounds like nothing will change for residents. People will continue to not have enough parking out front and will continue to throw gravel everywhere or pave over their entire backyards. I've lived in Virginia for 40 years and I've never seen a community that allowed residents to pave over their entire backyard as they do here. If I were to propose a solution, I would propose we allow paving to 50% of the front yard. Driving around the west side of the city, this is what I see as most common. With the variety of lot sizes, this number typically allows for off-street parking of 2 to 3 cars. And for the backyards, we should try to come up with some kind of limit on that. 25%, 50%, that number is above my pay grade, but any kind of limit, it would be better than nothing here, even if just for the stormwater management aspect of paving over the entire yard. As a fellow resident pointed out, allowing additional parking in the front yards would allow code enforcement to actually enforce vehicle violations, as it is my understanding that when vehicles are parked out of sight in backyards, they cannot do anything about it. My second comment is also related to a conversation during last session. The topic was on a resident who called because they were frustrated about getting a notice of violation for parking in their yard during street cleaning day. I can't speak for that particular notice, but I've seen other notices given to residents that say they're going to be fined $1,000 a day. In my opinion, citing fines of that nature creates a hostile and threatening tone when you address residents in that manner, and by nature is going to make residents frustrated and angry. These type of violation notices are generally not informational, and they're not no harm, no foul. I ask everyone here to imagine you're just going about your business and you get a notice taped to your door saying the city is going to fine you $1,000 a day. That's going to make you pretty confused and mad, and we should try to be a little bit more empathetic when someone is coming to us with concerns. My last comment is on the increase in social media posts about crime. I know most counties and cities provide statistics on crime online, but I've not been able to find any such statistics online for Manassas Park. It feels like crime is going up, but the residents are not being provided any information. When we have unsolved murders, thefts, break-ins, animals getting shot, we should try to invest more in the security of our community. I'm not sure if that means increased lighting, increased patrols, better staffing levels, better technology. It's just something I would like to see the council address more often before it gets worse. Thank you. Hope everyone makes it to the community cleanup day.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Laszlo, did you want to address any of the points?
You guys want me to?
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
so
Is there anyone else signed up, or was Mr. Smith the only one signed up? Okay, thank you. I believe Councilmember Hampton had a comment, public comment?
Yes, so regarding the parking, it's not done yet. Unfortunately, since we had our last meeting, I've actually had surgery. So I've been in a little bit of recovery mode. But the plan was to get it done this week, as well as send an email to you, Mayor, to put it either on this coming, our next meeting in October, or at the very latest, no, we're in September. We're not in October yet. The next meeting in September, or at the very latest, the first part of October.
That's a week from tonight is our next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay.
It just whatever works best.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone who is not signed up but who would still like to make public comment? Okay, seeing no one and hearing no one, we will move on to,
Didn't you want him
Yes.
to address Mike's comments?
I'm sorry,
Didn't you want Lasso to address Mike's comments?
I asked him and he said no.
No, he said yes.
Oh, you said yes?
Yes.
Well, I said if you guys wanted me to, and I think everyone said yes, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah.
It sounded like a no.
Oh, yeah. Could be preference,
go
but
ahead.
no.
Go ahead.
So in terms of there was no notice of violation issued for that driveway. The person had perfect amount of space to park on their driveway. It was just an informational door hanger, so it wasn't a notice of violation submitted. We don't fine people $1,000 per day. That doesn't happen. There might be one ordinance where I'd have to go back and check which one was approved last year. If it was inoperable vehicles, another one. I'll have to go back and follow up on which one that one had a fine associated with. But car and driveway, I can just tell you, that's a very difficult one to enforce. All they have to do is move their car and they're in compliance. So there's no fine associated with that. I wanted a fine associated with car and yard because that's a resident could just move their car. Now they're in compliance. So what's the actual punishment, the incentive for them not to park their car in a front yard? But it's a zoning matter that you can't actually have fines. And so again, all we were doing was informing the resident that they actually were in violation. They did have space on their driveway. They said they had connections on council and that they would hear from us. They were irate with our employee, and so that was brought forward. So no, we didn't actually issue a notice of violation to that resident. And then for the crime stuff, next week, actually, Chief Lugo is scheduled to come here and present on data on crime statistics for the city. What you're going to see is that larceny has increased significantly. Other crimes, not so much, but that's what's really driving there. It's slight uptick overall, but it's really larceny that's driving the data to go up, and that's why we've started pushing out message on that. It's crimes of opportunities, right? So it's people leaving their car doors unlocked. Sheds have been a big issue as well. So we're trying to get the word out for people to secure their homes, their garages, their sheds, their cars. Most of these, again, are nonviolent. They're just someone walking around and opening the door and taking things from people. So we're starting to put information out there for our residents.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 4A is a public hearing. The topic of the public hearing is regarding amending City Code 2-160, submission of capital improvement projects. I declare the public hearing open.
Can we bring up Word document 4A, please? Do I have control of that computer? Yeah. Okay, actually, I'll bring it up here, sir. Okay. Scroll down here. Okay, so in your packet, you had this ordinance amendment, which changed the dates essentially for when the departments would have to get their capital improvement projects back to me to the second Friday of December. Earlier today, it was brought up by Councilmember Moore that it should just be the city manager's discretion since it's more of an administrative function. So the city attorney crafted this amendment, which would essentially allow the city manager to set the date for when to issue the templates and guidance to the departments for them to fill out, and then when they would provide that information back to me in order to start processing the capital improvement project. So you have a version in your packet, and now you have this one that was also crafted for your consideration, and that's all I have.
Okay, any questions or comments from the governing body? Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank Dean and Lana for the research on the historical nature of this city code. I was just shocked that we were micromanaging back in the 1980s what the city manager should do and the exact date. I'm not sure why this got in our code. But it seems like we should take it out and we should leave it to the discretion of the city manager who has that responsibility to do those things and not have a special date in our city code. So hopefully my colleagues in the dais will agree and we could move this along.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Councilmember Javed, did you have a question?
I just got one simple question. When do you submit to the departments? What month is that?
Yeah, so right now we're doing the first working day, September.
Okay.
We send out templates, and now they have their templates from last year as well, but we send them the templates with the final budget data from FY24, then we ask them to return the templates filled out to us.
Okay. I just want to make sure the departments have ample time to respond back. When it's time to.
Yeah, they have plenty of time because we start looking at the CIP really in January. That's why I wanted kind of that mid-December due date so we can have some time to consolidate and then get to it in January because really November, early December is all about the budget amendment process. So we're not looking at the CIP.
About 4 months they'll have.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if any instance where your office could be late giving them the material and then their stuff is still due in November, giving them less time?
We would give them always plenty of time. And again, we make changes throughout. So really, the CIP is closed when I present to you all in April, then you guys start making amendments. So really, the departments and I can modify. We present to the Planning Commission usually early February, the full list of all projects. That's not the final CIP that you all see because I don't have revenues by then. But by the time I get revenues in place and I consolidate the CIP and what I present to you all in my budget meeting or presentation the first week of April is the final product. So the departments have plenty of time to get it done.
Thank you. Yeah, no further.
Any follow-up down here? No? Okay. Comments or questions?
No,
No?
not really.
Okay. Is there any member of the public who would like to make public comment on this? Seeing no one and hearing no one, do we have a motion to close?
Second.
Did we get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. This will be voted on later this evening. Moving on to 5A. 5A is a proclamation, 2023 National Suicide Prevention Week. This proclamation recognizes suicide as a national and statewide public health problem and suicide prevention as a national and statewide responsibility and designates September 10th through September 16th as National Suicide Prevention Week in Manassas Park. The World Health Organization and other international bodies recognize and support September 10th for these purposes. Whereas suicide is the 12th leading cause of death in the United States, the 3rd leading cause of death among children and teens aged 10 to 19, and the 2nd leading cause of death among individuals between the ages of 20 and 34 as of 2020. Whereas in the United States, over 48,000 people died by suicide in 2021, according to the Centers for Disease Control, whereas suicide rates have increased 36% over the last 2 decades, and with a recent peak in 2021 after 2 consecutive years of declines, whereas it is estimated that in 2021 there were 1.7 million suicide attempts, whereas in 2020 suicide was the 11th leading cause of death in Virginia, per the Centers for Disease Control. Whereas in 2020, 1,202 people died by suicide in Virginia, whereas over 90% of the people who die by suicide have a diagnosable and treatable mental health condition, although often that condition was not recognized or treated. Whereas organizations such as the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention are dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide through research, education, advocacy, and resources for those who have lost someone to suicide or who struggle, and urge that we 1, recognize suicide as a preventable national and state public health problem and declare that suicide prevention is a priority. 2, acknowledge that no single suicide prevention program or effort will be appropriate for all populations or communities. 3, address the disparity in access to mental health care for underserved and underrepresented groups and advocate for ending these disparities. 4, fund new suicide research and support culturally informed and evidence-based mental health care and services. 5, encourage intuitives based on the goals contained in the National Strategy for Suicide Prevention and the 2016 Suicide Prevention Across the Lifespan Plan for the Commonwealth of Virginia. 6, promote awareness that there is no single cause for suicide and that suicide most often occurs when stressors exceed the coping abilities of someone struggling with a mental health condition. 7, develop and implement strategies to provide and to improve and increase access to quality mental health, substance abuse, and suicide prevention services and programs. Continue advocacy to ensure we can reimagine a comprehensive suicide, mental health, and substance use crisis and develop a response system that builds on the new 988 number for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Jeanette Rischel of Manassas Park, Virginia, do hereby designate September 10th through 16th, 2023 as National Suicide Prevention Week in Manassas Park. Do we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. We were supposed to have a representative from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention with us this evening, but they could not make it, so the the proclamation will be mailed to them. Okay, moving on to Independence Day event recap. Welcome.
Can you hear me? I might hold this. Alrighty, so tonight I'll be presenting on, sorry, there's something in the middle. The Independence Day event feedback, Independence Day celebration that we held on July 1st, 2023. Okay, I got it. Up first, we conducted an after-action review. We try to do this 2 weeks at least after the event, just so that way it's fresh and we're able to kind of talk to all the departments, identify areas that we need to work on, what worked, what didn't, what other planning we need, and anything we want to try for the future. And then for atmospherics, fireworks, we do a final check-in now. So at the 5-minute before mark, we'll call, make sure all areas are secure, they're ready to go, and we're good to go for shooting the fireworks off. We have moved it to behind the softball field. That area still works great. We do feel like, especially moving forward as we expand the event and we have more people there, we've opened up so much more spectator areas, and we are trying to encourage people to move down off of that top field as much as possible. The attendance was lighter. We think it's due to the storm. Many of you were out there. It was pretty heavy. It was nice because it cooled it down. I wasn't mad about that part. And then we did get additional food trucks this year. Initially, we had 6. Unfortunately, we only ended up having 5. That 6th food truck let me know at 1 p.m. that day. Due to the storms, he wasn't able to get over to us in time. But that is something we plan to keep having, more food trucks. And then we did add a QR code onto our flyer. That way people, when they're coming in, they can just take a picture of the QR code, and then it takes them directly to the webpage. They can access the map. They don't have to come find us to come get it. People love it. They love to be able to take it, go, and then they have it on their phone with them. And then we did get additional restrooms. We've had issues in the past with lines, toilet paper running out. That was not an issue this year, which is great. And then we also did end up having an electronically fired show. We were not aware of it until afterwards, the show that everybody loved. It was electronically fired. They did give it to us at the hand-lit cost this year, which if you remember, I presented earlier, a few months before the event, hand-lit versus electronically fired. We went with hand-lit. They were smart. They did great advertising. They did a great show, electronically fired. But I did want to be transparent about the show that we saw. It was electronically fired, and it was great. This is from our marketing department. I won't pretend to know too much about Facebook metrics, but we got a lot of responses. We reached almost 11,000 people. We didn't have to pay a crazy amount per response. And overall, Facebook is a great way to reach people, and I think it's pretty much shown through the amount of responses. Then we have our lovely community members, as well as pretty pictures of the fireworks. We did do a Veterans Day meal, which you'll see on one of the pictures. People loved it. That is something we want to continue to do throughout the rest of the years. It was really nice to be able to give that back to the veterans who attended the event. And then lastly, the 2024 date. We do feel like overall the date change was pretty well received. We think it was allowed more people to come. I specifically had a guy come to me. He said that he had lived here for 30 years and he'd never been. And he said he was so excited that he finally could this year, and that he hoped that we would continue next year. And it's just people like that that kind of reinstated kind of why we changed it to begin with. We did have a meeting and came up with July 6, 2024. This is a Saturday following July 4th, which falls on a Thursday next year, to create kind of a long weekend of festivities so that people can kind of just enjoy multiple days and still enjoy it with their families. July 4th and July 6th, and I'm sure July 5th as well. As we've learned, fireworks are always going off. And questions?
Okay, thank you. Excellent presentation. That was very good news, and everyone did a fantastic job. It's very good news that the public was receptive to the date change.
Yeah.
So that was good. Any comments or questions?
Go ahead.
Yes.
No, you go first.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess my question is, so for next year, is it going to be hand-lit, I'm assuming, or electronic?
That would be something we'd have
We're going to
to,
present both options to you all when we get the quotes for it. Yeah.
Because I would hate to downgrade
right.
after seeing a show
Which
like
is,
that.
that's why I wanted to include that, so you guys did know.
Right, so-
That we would have to then pay for electronically
Right.
fired.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show. Again, Caitlin, thank you for all the organization, Parks and Rec, and all the other staff, police, fire, that participated. Like Councilmember Seeb, I hope that we have electronic going forward, just for our colleagues on the dais here. It makes for a much better show. I'm also excited about having it on the 6th as opposed to the July 4th. My question is budgetary. Were we able to save money as a result of not having it on a legal holiday, paying staff double or triple time for working on the holiday?
So we still had to pay them overtime,
Yes.
but I'll get the specifics to you on the final budget for what the delta was for our fire and police. We usually have all of our police working significant amount of overtime, but I'll see if we had any savings this year from not doing it on the holiday.
Oh, great. Excellent, thanks.
Okay. No follow-ups? Okay. Follow-up?
I think it was a fantastic event, despite the rain. I know that did keep a lot of people at home. There was a huge text thing going on, we're not going, but it was still a fantastic event. I was shocked with the fireworks, thinking they were hand-lit, but now knowing that they were electronically fired,
I
do
too.
think we need to stick with that, because we've set a standard. So it was smart on their behalf. And yes, I'm in concurrence with July 6th. I think it's a nice extended weekend.
Comments or questions?
Great job. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Your staff's done a great job.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of approval of the minutes of August 29th, 2023, and a recommendation to the Circuit Court for the appointment of Ms. Lucy Pullen to the Board of Equalization for the term from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, no old business. Moving on to new business. Extension of personal property tax due date, 9A.
Yeah, this one is pretty simple. There was a delay in getting the personal property tax book from the commissioner to the treasurer. The treasurer, I think, got it towards the end of last week, I want to say. And so she only had a few days to turn it around and send it out, unfortunately. But she is getting the bills out this week. So residents should be getting it sometime next week or the week after, but we want to make sure that residents have plenty of time to pay their bill, more than 30 days if necessary. So that's why we're recommending October 30th as the due date for personal property taxes.
Okay. I have a question. I think it's more for the Commissioner of the Revenue, but I see she's not here this evening. I'm concerned about the domino effect, and I was just wondering, is this going to affect a delay for the next tax due date?
It shouldn't. She's had the assessor's file since early July
Okay, so it should not
for
affect
the real estate
next.
tax. It should not, no.
Okay. Do we know if the commissioner hired the part-timer that was approved in the FY23 budget, which would have helped her?
No, she did not hire.
She did not. Okay. I guess that does it. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Yeah.
Yeah, if we're going to codify any dates in our city code, it should be the date that the Commissioner of Revenue gets the information to the Treasurer's Department. I mean, we're screwing with people's lives and money here. If we want to codify a date, it should be that date, and they should be held responsible. And maybe this is a dean question. Can we do that since it's an independent body? Say that this is part of our code, that this information must be in by a certain date or a certain time? Does anyone know the answer to that?
Is the question that
Leslie? Oh, go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry.
I didn't understand the question. Was that a question to me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
What was the question, please?
Can this council codify a date specific that property tax information be received by our Commissioner of Revenue?
To the treasurer.
To the treasurer.
Received by, so the commissioner, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused about the question. So the commissioner
Can I
gives
try to
the
clarify?
information
Yes, could
over
you?
the treasurer. The treasurer then sends out the bills.
Yeah, so Dean, to clarify, so
Thank you.
the treasurer didn't receive the property book from the commissioner until last week. What the governing body is asking is, can they codify in city code the date specific that the commissioner has to complete the property book and give it to the treasurer to avoid delays in sending out bills?
I have to check to verify, but you can put reasonable restrictions on the commissioner and the treasurer's office as long as they're consistent with the duties of the commissioner and treasurer. So you should be able to, but what would be the consequence of not doing it, though?
That was my question. How enforceable is it?
I mean,
Dean, let me ask you, we just undid a codification of a date for the city manager. What would have happened under our old law if the city manager hadn't complied?
Well, so the city manager does work for the governing body, and so he is directly responsible to the governing body. The commissioner and the treasurer are separate political subdivisions. So it's I don't know what a similar example would be, but you can't. You're putting restrictions. You can put a timeline on there, but what would be the consequence? So the city manager, if the consequence was that or he didn't get it done in time, and the consequence was that it affected the overall budget process, I mean, you could reprimand him as as the governing body because he works for you. But the commissioner and the treasurer are independent, so I'm not really sure what authority we'd have to discipline them or to you provide any teeth to that. Now, I don't think there would be a problem putting an actual date on there. I do want to verify that with some research, but I think you could do that. I just don't know what would be the consequence.
Well, I think a reprimand would be appropriate if it was violated, and that could be, community embarrassment,
Well, why
not
don't
doing
we,
their job.
Well, I understand the intent. I don't really feel comfortable speaking without having a little bit more information. I'll be happy to research it and get back to you on it, though.
It was just a suggestion. I mean, I'm not sure, how the rest of the colleagues feel.
I think it's a good idea to look into it, see
I
if
think
any
we
other
should look into it,
jurisdictions do
yes.
it, and what they do is their repercussion.
It's the second or third year in a row we've had to move
Yes.
our tax.
And there's been the issue in the past as well, so.
Yeah.
And to kind of, there's got to be the city's got to hurt from this, right? And the treasurer would probably know, what is the delinquency every time we move? Is there a change in the delinquency when we move the dates?
Yes.
So we end up losing money.
It's bad for the residents. They get confused, they don't know what's going on, they don't understand
That's
why.
right.
It's
If I can make a
very
comment.
professional.
It makes the city look bad.
I completely agree. This has been tried. You can't do it. You have to do it in state code. They fought against it. There's been other jurisdictions that have done it. The only leverage the supervisors, city councils can do is take the city or county portion of funding away from the constitutional officer. It's the only penalty. The association has fought against putting any timeline or any requirements on the constitutional offices. Because there's been situations where treasurers have had issues in other jurisdictions, and saying they have commission revenues, and that's correct from what I'm stating, correct? You can't do it, you have to put it in state code. But they should put it in state code.
Well, and if I could suggest another possible option. So we have an agreement with the treasurer that specifies the relationship between the city and the treasurer's office. We don't have a similar agreement with the commissioner's office. The commissioners, the group, the commissioners group, whatever they're called, they tend to frown upon such agreements. But the treasurer was very willing to do it, and we have an agreement that specifies how the relationship works. So the governing body commits to a stipend above and beyond the amount that is given to the per the state, that's given by the state. The governing body supplements that. But the understanding is that the relationship will be seamless. Maybe we can pursue that with the commissioner as well. I believe, however, that she has problems typically, or has had problems with the software itself. So some of this might just take care of itself when we get our new tax software up and running. So I can't speak to exactly whether or not that's going to occur, but it might. It might just take care of itself.
It was only a
I think,
two-week.
Dean, we would appreciate as much information as you could provide for us so that we can have a more informed discussion.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be good to know what the stipend is as well, what we're providing.
I think that my overall concern is that every time we have a delay, then that hurts us in our budgeting process.
Yes.
And, we don't print our money, so, and we have a lot of needs in the city. And it makes our job even that more, and our job, the treasurer's job, even that more difficult.
And if you go to the state compensation board, you'll see the salaries that are given to each jurisdiction, the amount of money that's given over by position to each jurisdiction in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that's what the state provides. It's by position, and there's certain certificate requirements for each position, and you'll see that on their website for the clerk, the sheriff, all 5 constitutional officers.
Did you have a comment, Laszlo?
No, I was just going to say that the software delay was approximately 2 weeks, but there was plenty of time before then.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2
Okay.
weeks.
And we've known that we've had a problem with the software, so
Right. This
she
is
should
not
have been
new.
prepared.
Exactly.
We've known this for 3 years, at least since I've been here.
It's the norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know the details of the software delay? Can you describe them or not?
The issue with the software, there's a lot of manual processes and a lot of support that she needs from the team there. Whether we could do it in-house or not, I don't know. I'm not involved in the day-to-day intricacies. I can't be legally of the commissioner of the treasurer, so I can't speak to the specifics beyond seeing some emails back and forth about things not printing correctly and other information. But I know that they were very responsive, the Keystone, and they did what they could to help out with the situation. But from what they told me, they were told they were ready to go, or that Debbie was ready to go by August 22nd, which in my mind, Patty should have this by August 1st, so she has a good 30 days to review the data, to do her own due diligence on the data before sending it out to the bills.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be getting it for print on August 22nd and give Patty such little time, the treasurer, little time to review the information.
Yeah.
Have we gotten any candidates for the open position that we approved for the part-timer?
That was just approved for FY23. So there was a full-time you all approved and a part-time. The part-time was just for 23. The full-time was to carry on beyond.
And did we get any candidates?
I don't know about candidates, but it was filled for that full-time position.
No, it was filled.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the part-time wasn't.
That's correct.
And did we get candidates for that?
Do you think having the part-timer would have made a difference?
I don't feel comfortable commenting on that in public.
Okay, because that is a disappointment, because
Yes.
what we heard from the Commissioner of the Revenue is that she needed help, so we provided the help, and the part-timer was never hired. So, okay. Are there any other comments or questions?
On a related question,
Yes, ma'am.
there was talk about the new software, the new tax software. Laszlo, do we know when, like an approximate date that might go into production?
We're hopeful for next summer, but there's delays in receiving information to proceed from the commissioner's office.
So then potentially, we may have an impact to the production schedule.
So the delay is because of a delay in information coming from the commissioner's office?
That's what I've been told, yes.
I have a question. When does beta testing start for that? And then if you do move beyond beta and you do live, are you doing the whole piece, all modules within the product live, or are you just doing piece by piece?
From my understanding, for Venity, it would be all live at once, but I'm sure there'd be beta testing before for each individual, because it's all the different taxes. It's not utility billing.
Right.
But
Would it be in the best interest if some parts are hung up or not complete and modules fully built out, that we could do pieces of it, or is that a recommendation?
That's going to be too complicated with interfacing with Keystone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But again, Keith's target's still next summer. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, I just got one. I mean, what's the, I guess, ample time? What's the turnaround you need to get these out? Printing, yeah, your department, yeah.
Printing wise,
Yeah,
you approve it tonight, it's going to print tomorrow.
tomorrow, okay.
When he's out of here. I am asking, and if also doesn't mind.
Say that again.
They're at the printers now. If you approve tonight, it's printing tomorrow.
Okay, and then from the printer, how long does it take to get to the residence?
About 5 days.
5 business days? And then how long do you need to review?
Hold on, but that's an estimate, though.
Right, that's an
We're
estimate.
completely dependent on the post office, and there's plenty of reports, and I agree with
Oh,
the
yeah,
two,
I
because
mean,
I've had
we need at
mail
least
where
10.
it gets delayed. Yeah, so I would not count on anything for guarantee sooner than 10, so I'd hate to be that resident who gets it late and then we haven't extended it.
Right. You need to have at least 2 weeks
Right.
buffer time.
Yes, sir.
For the review period,
No, we did that this weekend.
okay,
We did that this weekend so we could go ahead and send it.
yeah.
It was ready. We got it Thursday, went over it Friday, and this weekend it was ready to roll.
Okay. And
Thank you for working your weekend to get that together. That's a lot.
I do want to comment on one thing. Sorry, Laszlo, you're awesome, but if personal property's late, I'm going to say we're going to be back here for real estate.
yeah, real estate is going to be late too, just like last year.
Last year.
I said it should not be, but I didn't say it wasn't going to happen.
I have another question, and it's for the treasurer. In normal times, normal times, when the bills go out, when do they go out?
Personally, I like 30 days. State does say 14. They used to go out the second week of August or between the second week or third week in August, first week in September. We stuck to our October 5. I don't think we've been that for what, 3 years?
3 years?
Yeah.
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 Okay, so if it goes to the printer tomorrow, right? It takes a couple days to print and get in the mail? So we're looking at the end of the week to be dropped in the mail. And we go with 14 days cushion for, to land on people's doors. That would be the 29th, starting on the 29th. And I guess my question is the 30th sufficient time cushion for residents?
It's 30 days.
It's 30 days.
Yeah, it's 30
Okay.
days. I think so. I hate to go spill over the holiday season.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year was a nightmare.
Right, I heard a lot of
Yeah.
residents say, complaining about that too.
I just have a question. I know you attend the association meetings for the treasurer. Do they have any legislative package coming out for the upcoming session? I know it's a couple months away, and every year about getting a timeline with commissioner revenues, because I know this has happened across.
We don't cross over with them. So I just, no, that's,
That's an issue statewide.
They probably want to stay in their own lane, and they want you to stay in your lane. Okay, we get that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, if there's nothing further, staff recommended motion is that the governing body approve and adopt an ordinance to provide an extension of the due date for tangible personal property taxes to October 30th, 2023.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to 9B. 9B is FEMA Fire Prevention Grant Award. Welcome, Chief.
A marine is emerging.
Yeah.
Talk nicely to it. Offer it a cookie.
You gotta go to the other side. No, but it's not even like. Oh, the mask.
Sorry. Good evening, Madam Mayor, member of the governing body. So what we have for you tonight from the fire department is we received a FEMA fire prevention grant in the sum of $19,720. That those funds would be used for fire education props, which would be a digital fire extinguisher training prop. Currently, we have a manual one where you use live fire extinguishers. And then every time you discharge one, you have to take and pay to have it filled back up. This will be digital to where there's never any issues with refilling fire extinguishers. So the city match for that, technically $18,000, would be $939.05, which those funds are currently in our budget for matching. We already have matching funds for grants that we get throughout the year of $25,000. So the money is technically in the budget to cover that. If you approve tonight, we have to approve the grant by October 1st in order to get the money. There is a short PowerPoint that the fire marshal's office put together to explain what this prop would be and how it would be used for the community. Definitely a training, great training tool. We hope to have it available at the open house in early October, should we get permission to move forward. And we will try to move forward with that. If this plays. The video. If it plays.
Oh.
Please.
You got it.
Sorry, that's a different one.
Maybe you, actually, we need it on all the screens. Okay.
This was going to work. We'll try.
Bulex, the leader in smart fire, safety, and security technologies, is proud to present the Bullseye Laser-Driven Extinguisher Training System. With Bullseye's laser training extinguisher, you can now train anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. The Bullseye digital flames respond automatically to the training extinguishers, going out only if the trainee aims and sweeps properly at the base of the fire. Here's how it works. The Bullseye uses a laser-driven training extinguisher that feels and sounds like an actual dry chemical extinguisher. When the handle is squeezed, a conical laser is projected along with the sound of an actual extinguisher to give trainees a realistic, hands-on experience. Bulex extinguishers have the same weight, feel, and discharge time of real dry chemical extinguishers. Between trainees, simply reset the extinguisher hose and you're ready for the next fire. Training has never been easier. When set to water mode, the Bullseye digital flames respond directly to the compressed air and water smart extinguishers for added training variety. The controller shows the status of the system and shows how long the trainee took to put out the fire, or if the fire has even been extinguished. Select Class A, B, or C fires to change the way the flames respond to the extinguisher. Each class of fire has 4 difficulty levels to further challenge trainees. Flames can diminish, grow gradually, or even reignite. Bullseye is lightweight, self-contained, and easy to transport. Its long-lasting batteries provide hours of training before recharging. Rugged transport cases enable you to take Bullseye anywhere your extinguisher training requires. Bulex technology is used by thousands of organizations worldwide. With the Bullseye system, training is now possible in virtually any location. Place the Bullseye screen in the actual work environment and have employees respond as they would to an actual fire. Bullseye can also be used in evacuation and emergency drills. Because training can be conducted completely indoors, you are no longer limited by weather conditions or facility restrictions. The Bullseye training system represents the latest advancement in training technology. Bullseye enables you to train hundreds in a single day in a realistic environment. The entire system can be set up in less than 5 minutes. And because no costly dry chemical or CO2 extinguishers are needed, Bullseye provides a substantial cost savings over the conventional live burn method. For more information, contact Bulex today and begin training cleaner, safer, and smarter.
That was excellent. Thank you for the video. That was excellent.
So the ask tonight from the governing body would be to have the permission to move forward with accepting the grant, as we said, at the city match of $939.05.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Comments or questions?
I just think it's a neat tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Thank you, Chief, for the presentation. It looks really neat. Will any of that device seems like it'd be really helpful for residents?
Yes.
Particularly with CERT training. Would it be used in CERT training?
It would.
Because fire extinguishers are so much in the home.
Yeah, historically, we've had our old fire extinguisher prop, which uses real live fire extinguishers. Mm-hmm. We've used it with school bus drivers. We've used it with business owners, residents with the fire academy we did, also with CERT. Our goal now will be try to take this to some of the schools and teach some of the kids.
Excellent.
Because it's such it's almost like a video game, right?
Yeah.
Kids would really adapt to this.
That's great.
Well, when you get it, you have to bring it into the council chambers and show us one evening.
Yeah, can we play with it too?
Thank you, Chief.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hasib, anything?
No.
Okay. If there's no further questions, staff recommended motion is that the governing body approve and authorize the city manager to accept the grant funding from FEMA with a total amount of $19,720, which requires a city match of $939.05 as presented and subject to final city attorney review.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to 9C is we're going to take up the amend City Code 2-160 regarding submission of capital improvement projects. And we are taking it up with the recommended change to allow city manager to determine the date. Okay. Any other comments or questions before we? No? Okay. City staff recommended motion is that the governing body approve and adopt an ordinance to amend City Code 2-160 as presented and subject to final city attorney review.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public? Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We've got a number of announcements to make. First of all, for the folks that are at home, and Mike Smith touched on this a little earlier, this Saturday at Costello Park from 9 till 11, we will be picking up trash. The Community Maintenance Working Group is going to have one of the litter pickups. We're not in Costello Park, but the streets around it. If folks are interested, please be there at the parking lot at Parks and Rec around 8:45, 8:50 in the morning. The second one, once again, Community Maintenance Working Group, registration is now open for the Halloween Houses of Lights, as well as the Winter Lights Extravaganza. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to Yessie or I. And then the third announcement has to do with the Veterans Day celebration, which is the flag raising on November 2nd. We got word on Saturday that Commissioner Daniel Gade of the Virginia Department of Veteran Services will be here and he will speak. He is I believe he's a West Point graduate. He's of Army and also lost his leg while in service. So if anyone, it's open to all residents. We also heard today from the governor's office, even though he will not be able to attend, he will be sending us a letter to include in the program about the significance of our flag raising. So that's all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. City manager's report.
Yeah, just a reminder, we do have a meeting next Tuesday, and at the meeting, the manager report will do the FY23 annual report from both police and fire department, and then in October, you'll have the other departments as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there is no closed session. Is there anything else for the good of the city? Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.
I know.
Good night.
Dean.
Nice.
You going to be there on Thursday?
Thursday,
Yeah.
we are working.
My goodness.